Matt Lenihan, Boxing Social in association with William Hill and Empire Fight Store. Delighted to be joined by Spencer Oliver once again. Spencer, normally the life and soul of these places buzzing around. How are you feeling? Joshua Buatsi fight week, we're here in Birmingham. Looking forward to his return?
Absolutely. You know, Joshua Buatsi, as I've said for a long time, has not been one of the best prospects in the country, one of the best prospects in the world. It's been a bit stop-start for him over the last 12 months or so. Finally, we get to see him back in the ring. I mean, you know, looking back on those performances he had against Bolotniks and even Craig Richards, his last one, he was firing. You know, he was building up real momentum. And like I say, it's been a frustrating time for him, but we finally see him back in against Paolo Stepian. And it's a decent fight, to be fair. Stepian's unbeaten in 19. A perfect opponent for Buatsi in my eyes. You know, he's tough. His game comes forward, carries his chin a little bit high, and I think he's there to. Buatsi will get a few rounds in, but ultimately I think he'll win in the winning style. But just looking forward to getting him going. The light heavyweight division right now, not just in this country but globally, is absolutely insane, isn't it? I mean, you know, look at Anthony Yard's performance against Beterbiev last time out. He put up a great performance. Beterbiev proved what a good champion he is. You know, we've got Dimitri Bivol flying as well. Where's he going to go? What's he going to do? We've got Dan Aziz there as well, European champion, goes over to Paris, wins the European title. So loads going on, man, in the division, and loads of big fights domestically, let alone globally.
Is it about making a statement for him, not getting, I don't want to sound disrespectful because I feel like we haven't seen him for a while, so yeah. I know all these fighters, you know, it's good to sometimes get the rounds in, but is it about for him making a statement so he can chuck his name in again with the likes of, you mentioned an Aziz, Yard, a Bivol, like obviously people mentioned Bivol before, yeah. But
I don't think it's a case of him chucking his name in. I mean, he's WBA #1, so he's got that ranking, do you know what I mean? He's there. So I don't think it's a case of him, you know, chucking his name in. It's definitely a case of him making a statement and going out there, because like I say, you know, there's a depth of talent, a gulf of talent around, you know, globally at the moment at light heavyweight, and he wants them people sitting there going, wow, what a performance. What, you know, we haven't seen him in the ring for, you know, just over 12 months now, but what a performance. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm expecting good things for him. He's been training hard over there with Virgil Hunter, and I'm expecting to see some new stuff with him, and yeah, it should be good.
What do you think he needed to add to his game, maybe that we've not seen from him before? Because he seems to have all the talent in the world, and we're always sort of waiting. We had good performances, obviously, against Bolotniks. What else are you waiting to see from him?
Well, I think he's got explosive power, and we know that he's quite aggressive and he comes forward. So I think maybe on the world level, we need to see maybe a little bit more defensive work. He does get caught a few times. We saw that against, what was his name, Krylek, yeah, when we saw, you know, when he got that swollen eye and he was taking too many shots. Yes, he was tall and he was awkward, but yeah, maybe we need to see a little bit more work on that for these world level fights, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see what, you know, Virgil Hunter's a great trainer, and I think he can implement great stuff, and Joshua Buatsi is an unbelievable talent. So what I'm saying is he can soak that up. He can be like a sponge and soak stuff up and add to his armour, you know, add things to the locker. And I think if we do that, Buatsi's got the talent to be able to take things on board and implement them in a fight. And I think that's what we might see on Saturday night. We know what he's good at. We know he's good at walking fighters down. His accuracy is unbelievable. His punch power is incredible. Even when he puts his shots together, lovely. He knows when to pick up the tempo. I'm interested to see what else he's going to do on Saturday.
It'd be good to see him back. Look, there's this fight, but there's also Canelo versus John Ryder going on in Guadalajara, the return of Canelo Alvarez in Mexico. Rightfully so, heavily favoured, but what a chance for John there to go and upset the apple cart in what would be a monumental way, and he really would change boxing if he beat him over there. Talk to me about that fight week and obviously the chance you give John in that fight.
Listen, it's a huge opportunity for John Ryder, and there's no one that deserves it more than him. He's been a grafter, man. You go back to the days when, you know, he was knocked out against Nick Blackwell in a British title fight, and then, like, you know,
it's crazy how things work.
I know, he's thinking, where are you going from there? But John Ryder is a grafter. You know, he's a grafter, man, and like I say, that, you know, and he's a nice guy. He's one of the boxing's nice guys. No one you want to see do it more than John Ryder. It's a huge opportunity, and it will go down in history. You know, you'd have to go back to the days of, I don't know, you'd have to go back a long
Tyson.
Well, yeah, you go back a long way, like John H. Stracey beating Jose Napoles out there in Mexico City, believe it or not. But that was a big upset. Like, you go back to them sort of days where you go like, wow, it's like, yeah, it'd be one of those. It'd be a memorable one. Can he do it? Listen, I think that Canelo has definitely shown signs of wear and tear in his last couple of contests. His punch work rate has slowed somewhat. You know. So, look, it's an opportunity, man. Ryder is a tough guy. Ryder's just sort of like, he's one of those guys that is better than what he looks, and he is persistent and he's tough. It's a tough night for him, of course it is. You know, homecoming for Canelo and all that. And even though Canelo's actually a year younger than John Ryder, he's got more miles on the clock, that's for sure.
It's very deceptive, is John Ryder, I agree. He's a lot better than what you think when you see him live actually do his thing. He's a lot better than sometimes how he appears on TV.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Canelo. Obviously, David Benavidez has come off a terrific fight against Caleb Plant, who's game to fight anybody. I love watching Caleb fight. But Benavidez and Canelo, do you think that fight happens, and what do you think happens in that fight?
It's a great fight. Listen, I wouldn't go against Canelo in any of those at the moment, but Benavidez, if anyone's going to do it, he definitely would. That's a much more even fight than what we're going to get on Saturday night with Canelo and John Ryder. Yeah. That's for sure. But like I say, I'll give John Ryder a chance because he's got arsehole, you know what I mean? He's got bollocks. He will go out there and he will take it. And that's just putting it in layman terms, mate. He's like serious. Do you know what I mean? What I'm saying is he will bring the heat. He's going to go out there and he's not out there to pick up the paycheck. Do you know what I mean? He's out there to go and win the titles and go and cause the upset. And that's what he'll do. But whether that's enough is another matter, man. Because as we've seen against Canelo, when people step up to him, you've only got to use Callum Smith as an example. Callum Smith is flying through everyone, steamrolling everyone. And then when he boxed Canelo, look what happened. So it's about levels. And it might be a step too far for John Ryder. But like I say, he's got bollocks the size of an elephant and he will give it a go.
Brilliant analogies. Callum Smith, Artur Beterbiev, purse bid won by Top Rank. First of all, before we talk about the fight, I believe the purse bid was won by 15k.
Grand, yeah,
now, when you look at that,
I know.
Talk me.
Okay, yeah. How did you work that one out? Eddie puts in a bid for 2 million. He goes 2 million and 15k. Really? Yeah. Who knows, mate? Who knows?
Does it sound like people are talking about obviously people in people's camps? Eddie's referred to it in an interview he did with Charlie earlier, saying, "Look, see, everybody sort of knows what each other bid originally for the fight, so it was always going to be between that."
That might have just been a smart guess. What I'm saying is, like Eddie says, roughly what the person's going to bid, and they might be thinking, well, he might be going 180, but in case they go 180, in case they go 2 mil, we'll go 2 mil 15k, just in case, because that's I suppose that's the smart betting, really, isn't it? You know what I mean? You're taking a gamble, but it's an educated bet. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I think that it worked out well for him.
Another comment he made, he said that they are talking about Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder for Saudi Arabia. He says once that's papered, he says they're going to look and try to get him out in July and get him out there. Do you think that's the right thing to do for Anthony? Get him out one more time before a guy like Deontay Wilder?
Definitely. I want to see him out again. He was obviously been working with his new trainer, Derek James. He's been out there, he's been grafting. He told me he wanted to box, at least 12 weeks after that fight, and maximum 12 weeks before going into this tournament. Then we seen him talking about just December. It looked like the summer's going to go away, and I'm like, please don't fucking not box in the summer, because there's still things that need working on, still improvements that need to be made. People are, there's people, talking about Joshua, he's lost that fire in his belly, that, his punch, he's gun shy now. No, he's not. He's just working on new stuff. He needs to reinstall that confidence that was once there, because I don't think he believes in his own ability at the moment because he's too inactive. Inactivity causes problems psychologically, and I think that if he's active, then we might get an old Anthony Joshua of old. And he needs that, by the way, to be in that sort of competition. Can
I ask you, when we talk about Anthony Joshua and everyone keeps talking about the 2015, the guy who was running through the Brazils and stuff like that, is it sometimes as well the fact that since them fights, he's gone up in levels? He's fighting Alexander Usyk, so he can't just not always straight up and down or go blow through him. It must be something to do with that as well.
Listen, Usyk is one of those guys that no one knew how good he was going to be at heavyweight. The first fight against Anthony Joshua, I think that Joshua was as surprised as anyone. And with Usyk, and in the second fight, Anthony Joshua actually done better, but Usyk found that other engine from about round 9. He found another engine again, so we still don't know how good Alexander Usyk's going to be at heavyweight because he hasn't been there long enough. What I'm saying is with Anthony Joshua, he's going, wow, I didn't expect that, and I need to find more levels myself. Because before that, Joshua was going through everyone, so it might be just a case of Alexander Usyk going down in history as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. That could be the case. We don't know that right now. Until we see Usyk versus Fury, I think we know how good Fury is, but we don't know how good Usyk is yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is there still might be more levels to it.
It's incredible to think. I think if Usyk cleans up in this era, put him in that conversation with whoever you want for me.
Yeah.
Finally for me, Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia. I was there to witness it. Great fight, great hype.
Yeah.
Ended in a vicious way as well. Talk to me about the stoppage first of all. Saw a lot of people's comments on it saying he quit. I'm always a bit like, it's hard to use that word, especially when you're not a fighter yourself. And a body shot sometimes can take a few seconds and it really sort of it burns. But he got up at the 10 quite quickly, and everyone was like, did he know what was coming? Did he quit? Your take outside looking in, former fighter, what do you think?
So listen, I don't want to say he quit. I think he didn't fancy it. That was for sure. I think it was a case of, could he have got up? I know he could have got up. I'm a former fighter. I'm looking at him. I know the pain that's in his face, right? I've seen people like Castillo when he boxed Corrales, when he boxed Corrales, and Corrales was rolling around the floor screaming, and he gets up, and he's rolling around the floor screaming, gets up, and then ends up knocking him out. What I'm saying is, as an ex-fighter myself, mate, you get hit with a body shot, you can see the pain in someone's face. I was looking at Garcia's face. He was watching the referee. 7, 8, 9. Do you know what I mean? He's watching the count. 10. And I'm going, I think you could have done better than that, mate. I think you could have done better than that. You know, it was one of the biggest grossing gates in American boxing history on pay-per-view. You know, there's a paying public now. We live in a world that's, you know, it's not easy to come by money. People are travelling a long way to go and see these fights. I think you could have done a little bit better than that, mate. I think there was more fight left in him anyway.
Well, I think it sort of set a precedence now for what we want to see in boxing. These two guys were in the 20s. Ryan Garcia, maybe not at his prime yet, but Gervonta's approaching them periods now, and he's a lot better boxer than people think when you actually see him in person. What do you want to see now? Apart from Spence Crawford, because we can talk that to death, but in terms of Gervonta now, some big fights out there for him. What would you like to see him do next?
Do you know what? I just want to see him clean up the division. There's a division now. Not clean up the division, but I want to see him in with the best, like the Devin Haney's and whatnot. I want to see him, but I think that's set the precedence there, that actually these fights can be done. We don't always need titles on the line. You know, catch weights, get the fights on, the best fighting the best, because that's what's missing in boxing right now. That's a frustration, not just for us people in the boxing industry, but for the boxing fans as well. We need to get the best fighting the best. There's too much bullshit with the politics that goes on in boxing right now. Promoters are promoters. Boxers wanting too much. Oh, the fight's worth more than that. Fuck that. I'm not boxing for 30 mil. It's worth 100 mil. We'll go, really? Come on, man. You know what I mean? It's about time that you know, the public got something back as well, because we're living in an era where the best are not fighting the best. And if you look through the history of the sport, you know, when you go back to Leonard Hearns, Duran, Hagler, you know, like when you had Fraser, Muhammad Ali, Ken Norton, George Foreman, you have those guys, like, you know, where they all boxed each other 2 or 3 times. We need that. We need that, man. And I'm hoping that, you know, this Saudi situation will get that over the line, and we get them, you know, the semi-finals and the final, and then maybe the loser against the loser, whatever it is, man. But there's big fights to be had out there. They talk about wanting money and, oh, the money's worth this and that. Fuck me, you can make a shitload of money if you all just box each other, and we'll all be happy.
We'll all be happy as well, and Saudi will provide the money. Look, Spencer, I appreciate your time. Thanks for talking to Boxing Social.
Always a pleasure.
Catch up soon.
Nice one, mate.